Hey everyone, this is Joel.
And Noah from the Wealth is Health podcast.
This podcast is a conversation of our journey to financial health.
We think working till 65 just ain't it, and just like you, we're trying to make sure that never happens.
And if you're interested in letting us know what you're trying to do to achieve financial health and want to join us in our journeys, join the discussion on our Facebook at the Wealth is Health podcast.
Let's tap in.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Wealth is Health podcast. Joel and Noah back here again, and I'm gonna leave it. This is all going to be Noah interviewing me, so I'm going to let him take over from the start.
Yes, sir. Well, actually, before we even get into, like, your interview, I actually did want to give, like, a quick update real quick. So, yeah, yesterday I had attended someone else's mastermind meeting. So, basically, the realtor that I'm using for the house hack I'm about to acquire, I mean, most people that are into kind of like financial independence or like just investing in entrepreneurship in general have like their own kind of mastermind meetings, whether they call it that or not. But yeah, so he put me on to kind of his people, his circle that he meets with, other investors, and just other people in the real estate space, whether they're lenders, wholesalers, etc. But yeah, so I'm personally someone who's like extremely introverted, so I don't really like to kind of be in the mix and being around people like that, but it was a good experience to be able to connect with people, especially because real estate specifically is such a relationship game. So I just want to put that out there.
What'd you like gain out of it? Like, what'd you like get out of that? Did you like something concrete you got out of that, I guess? Because I wish I could be there so bad. For everyone, I wish I could be there. I was supposed to be there, but I'm not 21 yet, so they kind of little broed me, so I had to sit back on the sideline and watch.
They definitely little broed you. They definitely.
That's ridiculous.
But something concrete, I would say, other than just, making connections in general and finding more people, because we had talked about it before about feeling isolated, because you don't really have a lot of people around you that are interested in the same thing, whereas everyone there was interested, and basically everyone had already kind of taken a step towards like real estate specifically. So I think I was probably the only person there that doesn't actually have a property right now. Everyone else there had...
Like that?
Yeah, even like the smaller people, they at least had like 1 to 3 properties.
Mm-hmm.
But the other like main thing that I would say is one of kind of like the OGs, like someone who has mad bread apparently. He was giving us a lot of game on basically like own nothing, control everything, and how that actually works. But
that's what you've been telling me to do too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so he gave like a couple book recommendations, and he was giving a lot of game on that. So after I read the books, I feel like I'll feel more comfortable actually speaking on it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's something.
And then you can recommend them to me so I can read them, Jones.
Yes, sir.
I was about to say, how many people were there?
A lot. It
really?
was actually too many, to
really?
be honest. Yeah.
What?
With like the COVID restrictions and all that, because you can't have like too many people grouped together. So we actually had to separate, which is kind of annoying. But the reason I was bringing it up too is because I had recently read the book, The War of Art, and it has spoke on essentially like as an artist or as like an entrepreneur in general or whatever, that you constantly have to face kind of that battle of like how to push yourself to become greater and be more creative, and how you're constantly going to be facing like that resistance over and over again, and you need to accept it as a challenge instead of letting it beat you down. So I was speaking on that in terms of like being introverted and not wanting to do that, but still being like, if I want to be in this game, like these are the steps that I had to take. I had to face that resistance head on. If like this is the path I want to go down. But yeah, I just want to speak on that real quick as a quick update for y'all.
How'd your asthma hold up then? If that's the case, because I know that John must have been.
Yeah,
were these like old heads like too? Were they old heads? Like were they mad old?
Some of them, but there was a mix. So I don't even think I said this to them, but yeah, so we actually met up at a cigar lounge, which a lot of older rich people meet up at for whatever reason. They're not really with the
kill himself
lounge
faster,
vibes.
Bro.
Yes,
sir. Trying to kill himself faster, bro.
I mean, but if they really got money like that, hey,
yeah, facts.
They can afford like the healthcare necessary. I guess so. Wait, sorry. What did you even ask me about it? Like the age group, the age range?
Nah, I was saying, how'd your asthma hold up the whole time? But yeah, also the age range.
Yeah, I mean, my asthma was fine. Yeah, I wasn't tripping off of it. But yeah, the age range, I feel like it was actually a couple different people that were more so like my age. Like the guy that I added to our group chat, who's gonna be coming to our mastermind meetings. He's 24.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah,
And
there
he's
were
got his
people.
property and everything?
Yeah, he's house hacking a property in Providence right now. So, yeah, but I mean, there was definitely some old heads there too, but that's just more experience and more game to pass down to us. So, I'm here for it.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, that's sick.
Yeah. So let's get into you though. Let's talk about what's going on with you, my boy.
All about me, yes sir.
Yes, sir. So, how did you first kind of stumble upon the financial health, financial independence journey?
So I first stumbled upon the financial health, financial independence journey through, indirectly actually, through this person in my church. So this person in my church is very entrepreneurially minded. So he like is always thinking about like how he can kind of get money without really do stuff. So he's really into like passive stuff. So what he would try to do is, he'd get because he's an architect. I don't know exactly how the architect space worked, but he said, wait, hold up.
Damn, you was asking me about my
There's
lungs.
something in my throat, bro. No, this is something in my throat.
All right, you need to relax.
All right,
Yeah.
I gotta cut that out. Nah, so
you better leave that in.
What? all right. I don't know how the architect space works again, but he'd get contracts, and he said that he'd like independently contract for someone, and then he'd be like, all right, I'm gonna just give this job to someone else, have them do it for cheaper than how I would do it, and then he'd just pocket the money. And I was like, all right, I mean, I guess, yeah. And then like that's kind of like the vibe he's been going on. He told me to read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad probably 2 years ago. I never read it because I just was like, what's this dude talking to me about, bro? At the time too, like I can't say there's no real excuse for me not to read it, but I was also like definitely I just didn't really care, to be honest. Like I had more things I thought were more important at that time. And 2 years ago, I would have been going into school. Like college. Like I would have been going into college initially. I'd have been like, college. Exactly. I know, but like I just didn't like see.
Education.
Yeah, exactly. See, all that mattered to me at that time was I might be talking too loud. All that mattered to me at that time was getting good grades.
You need to lower your tone if you're gonna talk to me like now.
I know. I'm getting excited, bro, when you talk about finances. So I eventually did end up reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, but that only happened after the coronavirus like affected my school. So 2020, the beginning of 2020, was when I first started, and the only reason I started was because we had to leave school early because of COVID, because it was supposed to be spring break. And when I was packing up my stuff, I'd like been hearing that the stock market was crashing. I was like, all right, if the stock market's crashing, there's no way but up. So I might as well get involved in it right now. So because of that, I downloaded Robinhood actually on my way, like bringing my stuff to my car for spring break. Mm-hmm. I downloaded Robinhood, and I got like signed up with everything. The Social Security part kind of like sketched me out, but I remember being like, man, if they want to find me, they can find me, so it don't matter. So I just entered in all my information. And I think the first stock I got, I looked up like one YouTube video on it, and I got this Coca-Cola, 3 Coca-Cola stocks. At the time, it was probably like $150 in all. Yeah, 3 shares, yeah. So I got those, and I was like, all right, $150, that's a lot in the market. I was like, obviously it's not. But I'm just like looking at it thinking like, all right, this is about to rise. And I didn't have like very much information, but I did end up getting this book, which I still have. Mad hard to read. I got this book, The Intelligent Investor, because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I wanted to do it right, because I did not want to be someone who had to like consistently follow up on like how stocks are working, what stocks to invest in, like day trading. I didn't want to do the day trading thing, but I didn't really understand that. I was recommended that book from some YouTubers, Graham Stephan, and I think Andre Jick even recommended it as well. But I was more on like the Graham Stephan like train during quarantine when I was trying to understand how the stock market worked and operated. So I read through probably half of this book, extremely confused. Honestly, I'm not really surprised. But
yeah, I was gonna say that's not a book for beginners, bro.
Bro, it's so
to
hard.
Be honest.
And this is like the
That's
revised edition too. Like the revised part like has like a little portion of like, it kind of breaks down the chapter before it. So that helped me a lot. And I would look up the words I didn't know. But bro, it was basically just like I was looking up words the entire time. And I kind of hate learning that way. And because of that, I started watching more of Graham's videos, which weren't really tailored towards like financial freedom necessarily, but it was more like, all right, like you can invest, you can make money off of putting your money in the stock market. And that was like big for me. So Andre Jake, Gram 7 were big for me during the whole quarantine time. And at the time too, like I just didn't have that much money to my name. Like I was like, I've been working.
You said you was a broke boy?
I was a broke boy. Well, I was basically, because I just kept spending. Like I didn't make a lot of money at that time. Like 2020 or 2019, because it was in like March. I'd probably made like $5,000, $6,000 that year. I worked at an ice cream place for the summertime, and then I had a job as an RA for the first time that year. So, I wasn't making that much money. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, my spending habits were just, like, very bad. And I knew I had to fix it somehow. And I was like, maybe this stock thing can actually help me out. What I did not like to hear, though, was that everyone else was also getting involved in stocks. Because I was like, are you serious? So I'm not even special, bro. I'm just a part of the group. And maybe I still am, but I think I've gotten better at, like, understanding what I actually have to do as opposed to, like, other people. I'm trying to think of like where I really got the financial freedom, like I can retire early. Honestly, it was probably one of Andre Jake's videos. Mm-hmm. And for anyone that doesn't know, Andre Jake's a YouTuber who talks about his journey to financial. I don't even think it's financial freedom. It's like his just journey in the stock market. So he was saying that he was a big and crypto, yeah. But at the time, like that was never on his channel. But he was like talking about how like he's dividend investing, which I think we both know is not a good idea. But he was talking about how like you can dividend invest, and he was showing his portfolio off, and I was like, yo, this dude's making like, I think at the time it was like $600, $700 a month off of his dividends. And I was like, this is insane. So you're telling me I can make money off of like doing nothing? And that's when I was like, all right, well, if I can make money and it can pay for the stuff that I actually need to live, then I don't have to do anything else forever. So that's probably where it started. But where it kept going on.
Well, actually, hold on, because I had a couple questions for you.
Okay, yeah.
So, I was gonna say too. Well, like specifically regarding dividend investing, I'm not saying that it's not a lane, but I personally don't think it's really a lane for beginners. I think that's more so towards the end where you already have like a massive amount of capital. Because from my understanding, most, in general, like most really good like dividend paying companies, like you know that they've been consistent with it for a certain amount of years or whatever, they're not really giving you the highest payout. So why wouldn't you just be more towards growth, like capital appreciation, and then later on put your money in those kind of safer plays? But yeah, so I was gonna ask specifically about like why you thought it was a good idea to invest during a crash, and like when you're obviously like in the game for a little bit, you understand that. But I feel like at the beginning, that's not something most people get, because even at the beginning of my journey, and I was talking to different people, and they were trying to tell me that like the stock market is too risky because there can eventually be a crash. And these are people that are like way older than me. You know what I mean? Like trying to like stray me away from it. So I want to know why you thought when you were
honestly.
How old are you? 19.
19.
You're 20 now, but
19. Yeah, I mean it's literally like a year ago about this time.
But why were you so confident?
I've been in the market a long time.
Why were you so confident to be like, I know it's gonna go up?
I don't know. A lot of people around me weren't doing it. Usually I'm like, yo, there's probably something they're probably just too scared to get into it. Maybe I had watched a video or seen something, but I will say though too, ignorance kind of is bliss, because I didn't listen to any of that because I didn't really look into it too much. Like I told you, I made this Robinhood account while I was moving out. Like I wasn't like, I was probably more focused on moving my stuff home than I was like actually making sure what I was doing made sense. Yeah. I'm not saying I wasn't like thinking about it. I got lucky, but I did assume that it would be a good time to get involved in the market regardless of if it crashes or not right now, because even if it goes down, I still wouldn't have lost as much money as I would have if I had first started out, like when it didn't crash, and it has to go up. Like my mindset was telling me like the market has to eventually go up. Like it's going to go up eventually. And I had started out when I looked up like how to actually read any charts or plots like regarding any company to see if it was profitable in the future. A big part of that was looking at their like long-term 5-year charts. And like I'd seen that like this dip that we were going through was insane. And in my mind I was like, if we will get out of this pandemic. If we get out of this pandemic, then I would assume that it would go back to what it was before. So if you look at, I mean, you can look at any company, but trying to think. So I had invested in like Johnson and Johnson, Honeywell, just because they were like medical companies. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And I'd seen that like their peaks were higher than where they were, like significantly. So I was like, okay, I don't really feel like very much risk here.
Okay.
And I actually did end up making like $90, and I think that's where I was like, yo, hold on, like you can actually make money like this. But I'm glad that I didn't like get caught up in the get rich quick thing. It was more like this actually is like a viable means of like storing money for it to make money in the future, rather than being like, all right, I'm gonna sell my money, so my stocks, and then go get some shares of something else. But I will say I made like a ton of mistakes along the way as well. It's ridiculous.
Well, hold on, we about to touch on that in a second. But
yeah.
Before that, why was Coca-Cola the first company?
So I looked up this YouTube video on like how to pick stocks, like what stocks will, because I was like, I don't want to lose my money. So I looked up like the stocks that basically would never die. Because I know that stocks in the stock market reflect like how the company's doing as a whole and like what they're projected to go. And I was like, okay, well, I might as well get involved in a space or with a company that's in a space that's so large that it can't fall.
Too big to fail.
Exactly. Coca-Cola, I know it is one of the largest distributors of like the amount of things they actually make is like they make stuff I didn't even think like Coca-Cola. I looked at a YouTube video of a guy analyzing Coca-Cola, why it would actually never die, why you should buy some stocks of it now, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. In hindsight, I mean, I could have put in S&P 500 and been fine too. Like, it wouldn't have mattered in hindsight. But I'm not really thinking that way. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick this stock. I'm familiar with Coca-Cola. That was another thing too. They told you to pick stocks you're familiar with. I was like, yeah, I'm familiar with Coca-Cola, Dasani, Lay's. I know about all those stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll pick a stock that I'm familiar with and that I feel like won't die out in the next 5 years, which I don't think Coca-Cola will ever die out.
No, probably not. Highly unlikely. But yeah, so did you want to touch on some of the mistakes that you made at the beginning of your investing journey?
Yeah, so I was always, because I didn't know what I was doing, when I learned a new piece of information, I'd be like, yeah, I need to act on it right now. For example, when I found out that the news like directly correlates with the stock prices, I was like, okay, I got to be looking at every piece of information, every piece of news that I can. I remember being at my girlfriend's house, and I was looking at the TV, and there was like a news broadcast, whatever, telling me that Honeywell was working on N95 masks in a facility in Rhode Island. And I was like, okay, if Honeywell is making masks for this pandemic, and this is before like it was like full blown, I was like, I want to get invested in this company before that happens. And it wasn't just because they were in Rhode Island, they were local. It was more because like the fact that they're forward thinking, like, okay, we're gonna need some N95 masks. Let's get in production right now. I was like, all right, word. So I invested. I put some money right from where I had it in the Coca-Cola. I sold it and got the Honeywell stocks. It did turn out well for me. I think Honeywell actually rose. I think that's what made me the $90 initially. But after that, like, I just took it out, and I was, like, getting very scared because, like you were saying, the market crash, stuff was happening. I was kind of getting, like, where do I really put this money in? I ended up putting it in Amazon for a little bit, then taking it out. A little bit of Tesla, taking it out. It was, like, not really anywhere to stay for real. And that was stupid because you can't time the market. It's, like, the number one rule. You can't time the market. You got to just keep it somewhere and just hold it. But obviously I didn't know that, and then and I guess maybe it's like it's okay that I made these like little mistakes because I was playing with about like $200 at the time. Like, it's not any money that would really change my life, and I kind of like went in with the mindset that like I'm gonna make mistakes, so I might as well just do everything because I'm if I lose $200 now, I'm not gonna feel as bad as if I lose $2,000 or $20,000 later on. So I kind of was like pretty loose with my money because of that. And because of that, I lost money, but it's not really losing. It's like the potential loss. So like if I had just kept in the S&P 500, actually I think I would have lost money if I kept it in. Because last year I think I saw like from March to December, I saw like gains of I think 23% around there. Now that's not like really very like, considering COVID happened, it's not like real because everything went up, and I didn't want to get myself like hyperinflated on like, oh, I'm so good at picking stocks. Like my portfolio went up 23%. Like I cannot miss. Like that's kind of like what I was feeling, and I was getting more and more sucked in like the news and like understanding like what was going on there. That I was this is kind of where I was started focusing on like, all right, maybe I should just keep it in the Vanguard S&P 500 and index fund and just forget about it and work on improving my income so I can make more money to put in than picking the stocks. There was a point in time when I just wasn't investing at all. I wish I just had kept building the habit of investing. I'd worked a job in the summertime from, I think, maybe June-ish to August. Again, not a long period of time, but still, like, I want to form the habits as best I can. But I was kind of just watching the stock market, seeing like where it would go. And I kind of like count these as mistakes because in hindsight, I should have been investing and putting like mad money in there. But again, it was a new concept to me, so I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, so I didn't want to put in money into a market that I didn't understand. Still watching Graham Stephan's videos all the time. Still, again, trying to make as much money as possible, doing a lot of research on the side. But that's really all. Those are like the bigger mistakes I can think of. They're not really mistakes. It's more just learning, but nothing too like catastrophic.
You said they're not L's, they're lessons.
They're
not losses,
exactly.
they're lessons.
Exactly. But I guess one of the scariest mistake was that I accidentally transferred 500 into Robinhood. Accidentally. I did not have 500 in my bank account, so I was like, all right, what am I about to do right now? I just ended up canceling it, but I was stressed for like a good like 30 minutes. That's probably the biggest, because I was at work too, so I had to be doing like work stuff, but yeah.
So, you had said that a lot of people around you were also investing at that time?
Yeah, well, I mean a lot in like terms of like the pandemic, everyone in the U.S. type thing. Like, so when the market crashed, like there were reports coming out on the news saying like everyone's getting involved in investing. These new investors are gonna get burned out. It's bad. It's terrible. And I remember that coming into my school year because Kevin O'Leary had appeared on. This is like the whole like GameStop issue as well. Like Kevin O'Leary appeared on the news and was talking about how basically like, so you know how like GameStop stopped or Robinhood stopped anyone from buying shares of GameStop?
Yep.
Kevin O'Leary was talking about how like that's whack, but like the opposing side was saying that they're trying to protect new investors because they don't know what they're getting themselves into. And Kevin O'Leary was like, all right, like that doesn't matter. Let the market do what the market does. And after like hearing that stuff, I realized like a lot of people had been investing from the time the market crashed to just onward. There was a large number of people going into Robinhood or Webull or any brokerage, anything. So I kind of felt less special because I think people are just home and bored. Like they're just like, okay, we got to make money at home. Like the stocks are a thing. Like they probably had nothing to do, and because of that, I'm sure they just flocked to stocks. I don't know how many of those people ended up staying up. And I think there's a statistic saying that you're more likely to lose money on Robinhood if you're a new investor, just because they probably, I'm guessing they just lose their money.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's kind of a thing that I get conflicted about sometimes too, where it's like I want like newer people to get in the market and start learning, but I feel like I do get frustrated because a lot of times I feel like they're not actually just trying to like learn. Like they're not really trying to be students of the game. They're just trying to hop in because they heard about quick gains, and in 2021, that's just not how it's gonna ride. You know what I mean?
But yeah, the thing is though too, Noah, is when I started out, I think that I was in a better position because I had known that like if anything is too good to be true, it's probably not true. So I knew that like if I hopped onto Robinhood and if it was that easy to make like 100% gains, like everyone would be doing it if it was that easy. And I say like a lot of things people say like, oh, why wouldn't everyone just put their money into whatever? Because some people really don't understand. But I think if it was that easy, then a lot more people would do it. And I think that's why people leave. So with that like in my mind, I was like, okay, I need to actually educate myself on how this works at least a little bit. And that's where the videos came in, and then eventually the books came in, and then eventually the mastermind group came in.
Yeah, so you want to start talking about or going in depth about like what happened after you started like just watching Graham and Andre and them?
Yeah, after I started watching Graham, I actually took like a pause for a second, and it's probably because I was working so much I was a little distracted. But on like during work, I would actually watch videos like Graham's videos because I was allowed to put my headphones in during my when I was on the clock as well. Such a sketchy job. Like I should talk about that too, but like a different time. But yeah, so I put Graham on consistently. Like I just be watching his videos on like debt, how credit works, like how the tax system works, how because I didn't know anything. Like I didn't understand how like I remember one of the videos this is more recent, but it was like how your money that you get back for taxes at the end of the year is actually just your money that you're working for the whole time. Like, and people just don't think that's how it is. Like how the tax brackets work, like how that actually works, starting your own business and like getting rid of deducting like your taxes from that. And then he had like one, it was like things I wish I did in my 20s, and a part of that was getting a credit card, and that's the first time I got a credit card. There was so much stuff that I had eventually started doing because I was like learning that stuff too. Completely forgot your question though, Noah. Was it like how I got involved with Mastermind Group or just what I did like after?
Yeah, it was just what you did after. I mean, you eventually started coming to the Mastermind Group, but there was also stuff that you didn't touch on beforehand. So.
Wait, what? Oh, like the little gap?
Yeah. Like you didn't speak on when you started your YouTube channel and all that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of getting there. Yeah. My fault. Yeah. So during the gap too, I was also starting a business. So I had a photography business that I was like really trying to have grow. So from the beginning of 2020, even before I knew anything, I was taking practice pictures so I would get enough credibility to eventually take pictures, people's graduation photos. Like that was a big thing I wanted to get. And then just like regular people's like Easter pictures, family pictures. I wanted to get in that space. So I made the website. I did the whole, I created a sole proprietorship, the whole business ID, tax ID, credit card. Like I did everything to make the business as legitimate as possible. And then because of that, that kind of propelled me to understand more of like how to make the money, how to keep the money that I'm actually making so I don't have to pay taxes, because that was a part that was new to me as well. Then I want to kind of talk about the experiences I was having. So after the summer ended, I went back to school, and that's when I decided like, okay, I should start a YouTube channel consistently. And that was the thing that Graham Stephan tells you, like me, Kev, all these YouTubers tell you to start a YouTube channel because it's actually a good way of income if you actually start getting monetized. So I was like, okay, I need to get monetized. I need to be consistent. I need to spread this message of how I'm starting my business because that's content in itself, and then just keep going on with this. So I eventually started my YouTube channel off of the email account that I was using for my photography business, which is not a good idea. I don't know why I did that because they're not related. But then I made like maybe one video on, it was like an introduction, and after that I hadn't made a video for like, I think like 7 weeks or something like that when the school year hits. It's hard to balance the stuff when the school year hits. But then during December, that area around that time, November, December, this is when I really started getting into financial freedom, financial independence, really understanding where your money's going, because I'd read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that completely changed my mindset. 2 years after this dude from my church told me to read it, I was like, all right, let me actually take a look at it. And it was Monty who recommended that book to me, actually. So it was my sweet mate.
Montgomery, bro?
Yeah, Montgomery. My sweet mate recommended me that book, and he actually gave me Think Grow Rich too. Think and Grow Rich.
Wait, what? He gave you that?
He just had it, yeah. So,
but he read both of them or no?
I think he read Think and Grow Rich. I think he read Rich Dad Poor Dad too. But I think he was in the process of reading them both when we were talking, because he one day just brought me into his room and was like, I'm going to buy some books. And I was like, you know what? I should probably get into reading too. Why not? And we went to a site called Thrift Books, which is a good site if you want to get books, but you don't want to pay that like $35 for a book. Barnes & Noble's price is ridiculous. So we went to Thrift Books, and he was ordering all these books, and I was like, okay. He's like, I want to read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like, I hear it's very good. And I was like, okay, what is it like really about? and this I clearly had completely forgotten that this man told me 2 years ago, because I didn't even know what he was talking about. And then once I figured out what it was, I was like, I'm gonna just buy it. So I bought the book on Apple Books. I think it was like $10, and I started reading it. And when I tell you I could not stop reading it, it was so good. I got maybe halfway done with it though. Like, I would read for hours. I probably finished half the book in 2 days after I bought it, because it was that good. And I didn't finish the book though. So I went halfway through, and I was like, okay.
Well, you finished it now, don't.
Yeah, I finished it now. I finished it now. Yeah. But at the time, I had read like half the book in 2 days. I was like, okay, this is awesome. And that's when I was like, yeah, I don't even need the rest of this book. I'm gonna read this later, because I get what he was saying. Like the mindset he was talking about, I was already like, yeah, this makes so much sense. I don't want to work for my dollar. I want my dollar to work for me. And that's like when I was like, all right, I need to really get investing. Like, I really need to get serious about this stuff. It's not like a game anymore. It's not like I'm just gonna watch the little money I have in the market grow. It's like, how am I gonna really make this grow and have me retire early so I don't have to work ever again? Like, that's a mindset that started developing as I went on. Because of that, and because of the YouTube thing, I kind of started out as like, I'm going to try to teach as much as I know at this time to people on YouTube, on the platform that I had kind of established. I was already comfortable being in front of a camera. I had done this before. I had a nice camera from photography, so I wasn't like too worried about what other people would think. That's another thing too. I definitely got over like, how people think about me doing this stuff. And I made, I think, maybe 4 videos while I was on break. Even one in Jamaica too. Like, the hustle did not stop, about everything that I knew and everything I was doing at that moment in time. I found a problem with this, being that I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I wanted to believe that I knew what I was talking about, and the information in the videos is correct, and I think it all makes sense, and it all is like as easy to follow as I possibly could make it. But I realized, like, I don't want to be a teacher. I'm just trying to show people what I'm doing at the current moment in time, because I don't know what I'm doing fully, and my thoughts are always changing. For example, like in the videos I was talking about in my portfolio, I had I think I had 4 companies at the time, 25% being Vanguard S&P 500, 25% being Airbnb, 25 Tesla, and then 25 Amazon, I think. And I was like telling them, I'm going to invest in this Roth IRA. I'm going to do all this. And then I think like I called you and talked about the Roth IRA. I called you and talked about capital gains tax on a Roth IRA. And I just remember being like, all right, if capital gains tax is 0%, I think it was 0% if you make less than $40,000 if you invest in the stock market. I was like, then why am I even, I don't think I'm going to make $40,000 right now. So I was like, why am I even thinking about a Roth IRA? And then the whole, like, I didn't understand at the time that you could take your money out of a Roth IRA before you're 59 and a half. So I was like, this makes even less sense if I want to retire early. Like, I don't want to put my money here. So immediately after I made the video, I changed my mind. Immediately after. And I was like, I'm still going to release this video, but it's just like, it just shows that I'm like a very dynamic person. It's not like a my mindset's just not like fully cemented yet in what I'm doing. And I don't think it ever will be. That's why I think the podcast format is a lot better, because it's easier to follow. But I didn't know that then. So,
wait, sorry, real quick. So with the Roth IRA, like you can take your contributions out whenever, like the money that you physically put in there, the principal. But yeah, it's when it comes to the gains that it gets a little bit tricky. And there are ways to get it out way before 59, but it's like you just have to go through certain loopholes. I just want to clear that up real quick. But go ahead.
Yeah, I always forget that. I always forget I need to make it as easy to follow as possible. But yeah, so I just I did like that I was making the videos. It was very hard to be consistent during school and everything, but I was really trying hard not to make excuses, but it is very hard. And like you heard the noise in the last podcast with like the people in the background. You said that sometimes just happens. Bro, exactly. They didn't hear anything. So that type of stuff, like, it's just annoying to record in my room sometimes. And I'm like I think I'm more of a perfectionist type person where I was like, I need the same backdrop in the same place. Like, I want, when people come to my video, I want them to get this same experience that they already know they're going to get. And I was like, if I can't have it, I'm just not going to do it. So I would have to, usually I was recording in my main lounge because no one was there because everyone went home for break, and I just stayed over just to do work, basically. And because I didn't have that anymore, I didn't have my backdrop, my table, whatever, I was like, yeah, forget this. Yeah, but so after that all happened, I was like, okay, you know what, this is not it. Before that had happened, when I found, like, I completely skipped over the whole mastermind part.
Yeah, actually, hold up. Let me say two things real quick. Yeah, so real quick, also, when he was talking about the taxes and stuff like that, so essentially what he was saying was, when you're a W-2 employee, like you just have a regular job, you're getting taxed on your gross, regular job. You're getting taxed on your gross income, meaning like whatever you made that year, like you're instantly getting taxed on that. Whereas if you're self-employed or a business owner or an investor, like a real estate investor, for example, you're getting taxed on your net profit. So meaning, what is your actual profit after you took out like all the expenses? So that's where the difference is. And it's especially helpful when you're using some of that money or a lot of that money to reinvest back in your business, because now like you're lowering whatever your gross income was way lower and being able to use that income to make more money down the line. But yeah, so I want to touch on that too. And then I feel like there was one other thing that you had.
But while you're thinking about that, Noah, someone was asking me why. They were like, "Why is that the case then? Why doesn't everyone get taxed the same?" And I was trying to explain to them that the way like the government like wants the economy to be stimulated by people actually creating jobs and services for people. So they're going to give you a break because they know that you're providing service that's going to eventually keep the economy running and going. And I just wanted to clarify that too, because it kind of doesn't make sense if you don't really understand like where the bigger picture. But the whole point is that I'm creating a service for someone else. Money's getting transferred between hands. That means the economy is running well. That's basically it.
Yeah, like you might be paying other vendors, paying contractors or whatever, providing opportunities for them or employees. So yeah, that's why it's very important as well. So it does make sense, although I could see why some people think it's kind of overboard a little bit with the amount of tax breaks that you can get. But when you're actually in the game, I feel like you feel a little bit different.
Exactly, so. And that's why I put that thing on my story today too. For anyone that does follow me, it doesn't even matter because that's going to be a week away. But I put something on my story saying, should we tax the rich? I put so much stuff on my story just to see what people will think. And honestly, I don't really have a concrete foundation or opinion on this. But I just want to see like where people were at. A lot of people were saying, yeah, we should tax the rich again. But it doesn't matter because they will always find a loophole around it. It does not matter. And that's something that I don't think the average person is going to see. They're not going to understand that. They're going to be, oh, yeah, you tax the rich? Yeah. No, they're just going to take their money out of the stocks and put them in somewhere else where they can see the same returns that they would see normally. That's how it's going to be. But people don't know that, so just want to see. It's like that temp check you always say you're doing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to do a temp check with everyone that follows me. And just know,
so, yeah.
unfollow every single one that said yes. So, no, I'm not
Oh, my God. Savage. But, yeah, what I was going to ask you, because you were, like, big hyped about Rich Dad Poor Dad. So, do you want to say, like kind of the major takeaway that you got from that, or the thing that really kind of stuck with you?
I guess there's two parts that really got to me. One part was these two kids were at a private high school, or they were a public high school, but it was mostly rich kids in the high school, and they said that they were feeling like, they're like, yo, why don't we have these items, these possessions, because one family was middle class, but like, not rich, and the other family was rich, but the little kid didn't know that because they were so frugal. And I remember the one part where the dad was literally saying like, yeah, like these kids at school who are flaunting all these possessions, their parents work for a company that's probably going to go out of business soon. And the company did go out of business soon. So I was like, all right, there's more power in the knowledge of what's really happening than there is in just like flaunting, these riches that don't actually matter. That was the first thing. Second thing, understanding the make your money work for you, not you work for your money part was huge. In the book, they actually, and I don't even know if this is real because like, these stories sound crazy. In the book, these two kids worked for free because their dad was trying to teach them a lesson on how your brain gets a lot more creative when you're working for free. You see a lot more opportunities to make money. And that's like a whole nother thing I can get into. But in the book, they were working at this I would say like basically like a bodega. I don't know, like a little grocery market type thing, family owned store, and there was like a crate of comic books that was delivered to be like sent off or something. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. Basically, the kids took advantage of this and created like a little comic shop in their own space. And because comics were such like a hot commodity at the time, they allowed people to read it. Basically, they started a library for themselves, let the kids read it, but they'd have to pay like 20 cents to get in. At the time, 20 cents is a lot of money. Then they employed their sister to make sure that the money was going in, that people were paying, they were staying their time. And that's when they were making more money than anyone else was making, kids, but they were making more money. I'm really trying to be the person who comes up with the idea, employs these staffs, understands like the system. Like I want that person to be me. And that's why I kind of stopped reading the book halfway, because I was like, I get what you're saying. And then I ended up finishing it later on, but that was probably the biggest part.
Word. Cool. So yeah, if you want to get into the part about like how you got I guess brought into the mastermind.
Oh yeah. So I cannot remember what it was, but I think it was you posting something about something stock related, something like financial education related, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just like slide up on this dude's story and see like what he's talking about. And then you ended up inviting me to one of the sessions on Wednesdays, and I was like, all right, word. So I had no idea what to expect, because I hadn't seen you in a long time. Like me and Noah have known each other for a while, but I hadn't seen you for a while, so I was just like curious on what was really about to happen. Went to this group. I met some people from the group, and I was like, okay. I kind of listened to the discussion, and I feel like you were all doing temp checks low key, because I feel like I had a lot of questions asked of me, but I was also asking a lot of questions. So I was kind of trying to get a feel for what everyone in the group actually did. But I was I was blown away, to be honest. No, because people at school don't have these conversations. They're not thinking about starting their own business. They're not thinking about ways they can make more money. They can eliminate their housing costs. That's not like a normal conversation at school. So when I saw this, and I was like, okay, all these people didn't even go to school, and they're on a better track to making money than a lot of people at my school right now who are trying to get professional jobs. At the time, too, after reading a little bit of Rich Dad Poor Dad, I knew that a professional education doesn't really mean anything. So I was very interested in what you guys were working on, because it was really happening. It wasn't just talk. It was like really, you're actually doing it. And I was excited to go to the next one. And I think I've been going since, that was probably around November time. So I've been going like every Wednesday, and it's been a great experience. Trying to get more people involved. So I got my brother to go too. My friend to go, some of my other friends. Trying to give everyone the opportunity, at least, to see a different reality than what is fed to them in schools, and then just the education system as it is right now.
Yeah. So actually, you bring like half the people that we have.
Yeah.
Right now,
Okay. Yeah. Maybe.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, I do bring a lot of people. Yeah, no, it's funny because there's 2 more kids I want to bring.
Bring them.
But I don't even want to bring them because.
I'm bringing somebody too.
No, but it's because like.
Actually, I'm bringing 2 new people, so
really?
We can match. Yep. Okay. Let's match.
No, but the thing is, bro, so you know how you do again the temp checks, bro. Like I know that the people in this group right now are dedicated to their grind. Like this is all you have in a sense. Like you're gonna put your all into this thing. I was talking to these 2 kids at the gym.
Financial gym?
Yeah, financial gym. No, it was actually the physical gym. But we were talking about the financial gym. And we were saying, like, I was just, again, temp checks. I was like, yo, so they were talking about finances to begin with. And I was like, okay. So one of them had asked me to help him with his portfolio back in January or something like that. He just never got back to me. He said he was busy. So I was like, okay, word. But that's already an indicator, like, are you really even about this, bro? So, and it's not like anything like serious. I'm just like curious. And they were talking about actually vending machines they were talking about, because he wanted to have a vending machine put into one of the buildings. I was like, okay, like where have you gotten there? And he said like he'd actually reached out and tried to get a vending machine in one of the buildings. The other guy was like saying something similar, but he was talking about day trading. And I was like, okay, if I bring these dudes to the group, are they going to gain anything? Is it going to be more of a confrontational thing? Are they going to really get, what I'm talking about? Or is it just going to blow by their heads? It's just a waste of time. So
What, confrontation though?
Like if he comes in with like you guys are all doing it wrong, like day trading. You
better bring him now. Better bring him now. Let him tell me I'm doing it wrong.
That's the type of thing. Like I do want to be able to change these people's mindsets if that is what it is, but I don't know. I think that like there are people I have brought that I'm like, maybe you didn't benefit at this time because you didn't know it was that like what you were really doing. But then again, if out there, the group will always be there, so maybe it is good that I bring them in. I don't know. Also, it's such a hassle to bring like mad heads from URI to wherever we go. Not that that's like a problem, but the time we had like the most amount of people was when we had like Nikki, Amber, Matt. Everyone was there. And I was like, this is so many heads. That was a great time.
We move with like an entourage now.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
it
we
was
gotta
great.
start renting out venues, bro.
Yeah, it was great. I remember
I
remember when it was like annoying to call in because every place only had 8 seats, and we're like, do you have seats for 10? Seats for 12? Like, they're just like, nah. I was like, all right, well, we'll take that 8 seat and pull up with 12 regardless.
Facts, yeah.
And that's what we did. We just pull up chairs. That is great, though. I love that. I like that. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't always.
Sorry, real quick too. I like that because being an introvert as well, it's easier when I can at least bring like some of my own people when I'm going to like another group, like how I was going to that mastermind meeting with my realtor and them last night, and I brought like 3 or 4 people with me from my group. So yeah, I mean it's just easier to move like that.
Yeah, and then for anyone that doesn't know, I'm extroverted, which means I feel like that means like I'm okay with talking to people. I am very comfortable with people. I do love the social settings. Like the Wednesdays are, like I remember someone saying like you should feel like rejuvenated after you go to like a meeting. I always feel mad happy after I go to the meetings. Like it's always a good time. So I guess maybe that is like something that helps me bring more people in, talk to people, and get them involved. But yeah, there's definitely going to be more people coming in. I can already think of 3 people, and one of them is trying to do this real estate thing heavy after he graduates. So I really want him to have a conversation with you. So he's going to be coming eventually, probably after the school thing ends. But he's graduating this year, so I want to see him. I want to see a conversation between you guys.
Word. So I want to say this too, because you had mentioned before with your YouTube channel that you kind of felt like, what was it that, how did you say it? You were like, because you're basically still learning, so you don't want to kind of give false information.
I feel like a teacher, I don't know exactly what I said, but definitely somewhere along the lines of like feeling like a teacher.
But I was gonna say it's just always gonna feel like that, regardless. As long as you're continuing to constantly educate yourself on a daily basis, it's always gonna be like that. You're always gonna start thinking differently than you did before, and if you don't feel like that, you're not learning enough. That's what it really comes down to. So you're always going to want to change. So I was even just joking earlier when I was saying, like, let this kid come here and tell me that I'm doing something wrong. Because if I'm actually doing something wrong and he knows a better way, then put me on. But
that's very true, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a part that I have to... That is very true. When I think about it like that, though, like I think, like, right now I'm probably going to be on the mindset that I have to long-term invest for a while. I'm probably going to keep my S&P 500 portfolio that's mostly comprised of just VOO, which is a stock for anyone that doesn't know. It's actually an ETF. I'm probably going to keep that for a long time. I don't think my mindset's going to change about that for a while. But I think I was trying to like tell people, give people information, and let people kind of know what I was doing when I myself was new to the area. So I would say I'm a little bit less new now. I've only been doing it again for like a year, which I don't think makes me qualified to speak about this to everyone. But I will say like I have experience in it, and because of that I feel more solid in that. But yeah, everyone should have I think the open mindset's something that our group also just has. I don't think anyone's closed-minded in that group.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just so important, and we need to kind of emphasize that because even like for me, I know that I was more so stuck on doing things a very specific way. And I'm always kind of going to be like that anyways because I'm kind of obsessive about what I do regardless. So when I'm learning a certain way of doing something, it's like, this is all I know right now. And I'm just going to double down on learning every single thing about this. But after a while, you have to start challenging your beliefs at some point and expanding. And then as you're meeting with like more and more people, through like our mastermind group, and I'm seeing people do things different ways and like getting different types of bags, and I'm like, oh nah, I'm gonna need that. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell like what's the best thing really is to do. That's why I like that we each kind of do a little thing. I've noticed that.
Yeah, everyone has their own lane in a way.
Yeah. If anyone's listening to this podcast wants to come to one of these meetings, then let us know. Hit us up
Yes,
if you know us
sir.
personally. Let us know because we have these every Wednesday, and there's great. Go to a different spot in Rhode Island every single time to eat food. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Probably one of the only times I eat food as well. Even though I'm gonna get some tacos
Well,
or
eat
something
out
tonight. Eat out, yeah.
Pause, but yeah.
Pause. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Can you speak on the challenges of learning all these types of things and even being a part of mastermind groups and then going back to school and having
regular life? That's a
Yeah.
great question, bro. Oh, I'm glad you asked that. Yo, when I learned about this stuff, I did not care about school anymore, bro. I did not want to be here. I did not want to be wasting my valuable time asset to become an employee for the rest of my life. I was almost mad. And I was mad at myself because I let myself go on with like the mindset that the only way to succeed in life is to get good grades, do well, so I can increase my odds of getting a job outside of college. So because of that, I'm becoming a part of different organizations on campus because I like them, but also because I know they're going to give me a leg up when it comes to the real world. So two instances I'm going to talk about is I went to school for engineering my freshman year. I decided to also become a Spanish major as well because I knew it would look good on my program, and that Spanish major also like encompassed like this trip to Spain, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna just do this. 5 years now I'm gonna be at school, 5 years tuition, because I'm gonna get this advantage in the real world, or at least so I thought. I had been a Spanish major up until this year, so actually last year, but like December time. So I was like, okay. At that time, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this program. I'm not gonna. If I want to put Spanish on my resume, I can just start speaking Spanish during the interview. Like, I don't need a degree to tell me that I can speak Spanish. I know you can also teach like a class and do whatever if you want. Like, there's more to the degree than just saying like you speak Spanish in the workplace. But I knew for a fact that it's not for me. And one of like the hardest. It would be easy if it was just myself, like me speaking to myself, like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'll just drop out of the program. But I have an advisor that kind of wants people to stay in the programs because they know it'll look good for the university. So they're also black. I feel like that's important to mention. And there's not many black engineers at school. There's definitely not many black engineers in the program that I was a part of. Because he doesn't want me to leave because, like, come on, that's another black person leaving. I'm a role model for like the youth, whatever. And I was like, okay. You know, it was hard for me to even tell him because I was so nervous about how he'd feel about me after. Now I'm like, what am I talking about? Like, this is my life, one. Like, I don't know who this dude is. I don't know why I'm trying to preserve the name of the university and make the numbers look good for this university that I care about. Okay, like, I care about the university, but I don't care about anything that doesn't have to do with my growth as a person. I don't care about your statistics and making the statistic look good for you or I. I'm trying to be here for myself. At the end of the day, it's my life. And I'm getting better at coming to grips with that. That's probably when I went from ENFJ to ENTJ, bro, right there. Right there is probably where I was like, all right, this is ridiculous, man. I'm flipping the script.
So he's talking about the MBTI personality test. If y'all want to take it, you can go on. I think it's 16personalities.com, just so y'all know. But, yeah.
And then the second moment was when I was nominated as a president for NSBE. I never wanted to be the president of this organization.
Can you speak on what NSBE is?
NSBE it's an organization on our campus. It's actually a national organization. It's the National Society of Black Engineers. And the whole mission is to kind of make sure that the engineers who are enrolled in school actually graduate, because back in the days, there was like a large number of black students who were engineers dropping out and not becoming engineers because the classes were too hard, et cetera, et cetera. It's a great organization. It's fantastic to be a part of. I didn't want to be a president because I didn't want that responsibility. I more did it because I felt like I would let people down if I wasn't the president. I let the organization down if I wasn't the president, and that it wouldn't give me the advantage of like that resume booster if I wasn't the president. I wasn't thinking for myself. I was thinking for other people. I was scared about what other people would think about me if I didn't do these things. And that might be the point of most anger for me, like realizing that I need to be taking my life really into my hands. It doesn't matter what other people think. And because of that, I've been very good at confronting people. So I had to speak to my advisor about like what's going on. I told him like I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm sorry, I'm not doing this anymore. That's just what it is. And I think it's helped me develop more as a person just in general. So yeah, school, after the realization that financial freedom is a thing, realizing that they don't teach these things in school because they're literally training you to become an employee, made me very annoyed and very mad. I was thinking like if I was in high school and I learned about this stuff, I probably would have just become a real estate agent, made mad bread, put it in the market, got real estate properties, and just done that. Like that's the mindset I was on. Done computer science, did something that wouldn't require me to spend so much money in school. But now that I'm a part of the system, right now I'm trying to see how I can save the most amount of money so when I graduate, I don't have to have debt for so long. It's technically good debt. I think the interest rates, the highest one I have is 5%, but the lowest one's like 2%. But it doesn't matter because I don't want it in the first place. So I'm trying to apply for as many scholarships as possible. I'm an RE on campus, which means that my housing's paid for, and they also give me like a little bit of money on the side. That kind of stuff. Jobs on campus, anything I can do to relieve that. But I'm not saying like I'm mad all the time. I'm just mad.
You sound mad, bro. You low-key sound mad.
Bro,
I'm not gonna.
Because I kind of am still. I kind of am
talking
still
spicy as hell about this university, bro.
It's not even the university. It's just
talking crazy to your advisor. I mean, your guidance counselor.
Yeah,
I'm playing. I'm playing.
Nah, it's really just because I feel like I was lied to.
You've been bamboozled.
I've been bamboozled, bro. They pulled a fast one on me. Like that.
They pulled a fast one on you.
And that's why.
But yeah, I was gonna say. Nah, go ahead.
I know. I'm just saying, like, that's why I'm mad, because like I could have been like already on my path from 2 years, 3 years before, and here I am now, a little late to the game because I'm young, but still, like, you can't be doing this to people, man. It's like you don't know better, so you go through the system, and that's all I have for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a book called Man's Search for Himself, that discusses kind of when you're going against what society says and you're trying to find your own path. There is a part of you at the beginning of kind of finding out who you are and embracing like freedom and things like that, where at the beginning stages of that, there is a certain level of like rebelliousness and anger because you're so mad that people put these kind of layers of control and almost like brainwash you in a way for such a long amount of time. Yeah. And I feel that too. I'm definitely like that. And people like, I don't know. I feel like people
slighted.
Yeah, and people can tell. Like they're like, "Why are you so mad?" But that's also why I'm like, I'm only like that when I'm dealing with y'all that are like not cut from this cloth and can't really hang in the type of circles that I'm trying to be around. Cause when I'm with y'all, I don't feel like I come across that way. But
I think it's affecting like how I view social media right now. That's the current thing I'm going through. Because I hate seeing people just post. It's not even I hate, but I just like see that people are posting stuff that are just irrelevant, bro. Talking about like I'm gonna get my bag up right now. Like you don't want to see. Like I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what you mean? What bag? What bag? Like what are you talking about? Like you're in my class, bro. Like you're going the same place, bro, in the same direction. But I'm not mad. I'm just observing.
You're feeling spicy. You're feeling spicy.
Yeah, feeling.
So I had 2 more questions for you. So, I mean, they're basically related, but it goes back to what you were saying last week, and I have that same energy, too. I don't know if I said it in front of y'all, but I know when I was talking to someone else in our mastermind, I had said that about someone else when it comes to, like, mentorship or whatever, where I'm like, I struggle with mentorship in a way where someone is trying to directly mentor me and being like, yo, you have to do it this exact way because I'm not trying to be like you. I'm actually trying to be better than you. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like you have to be humble in the moment and being like, I need to learn right now. So, like, let me shut up and listen. But don't let me not, like, find my own way. But, yeah, so the question I have for you was essentially when it comes to the part about, how do I want to phrase it? I guess just being better, right? So
Yeah.
I want you to, I want you to address the flaws that you think that I personally have, like on my journey, and how you're gonna.
As in you know.
Yeah, me personally, and how
Okay.
you think that you're gonna be better.
Dang, bro, you want me to go against you right now?
Yeah,
crazy.
That's what I'm here for, bro. We gotta sharpen the sword.
Yeah, so basically, bro, I have a long list, so don't worry about that.
Let's go. Let's get to it.
You kind of mentioned that this one time. So you know how you were talking about you want to have it would not be a bad idea to have a business before you start getting into these ventures, so you can put more money into real estate and eventually, like, owning equity.
And I also got clowned in the group for saying that, but that's cool. Go ahead.
Really? They clowned you in the group?
Yeah, but.
Oh wait. Yesterday or like our group?
Yeah, our group.
Oh, okay. I don't even know. I don't know when that happened. But yeah, no. So I am positive that before I get into buying properties and doing whatever, I'm going to have an established business that's making me money that I can use to put right into that. Positive. I think I have the early start in the field that I'm pursuing. It's not to say that like you don't have an early start in your field, but I feel like I have the advantage of being in this early field and relatively not having as much responsibility that allows me to kind of pursue like this one field I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, I don't even know if I should say it yet. I'm not gonna.
I feel like you should say it, but I don't know if we're gonna have time. I don't know how much.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because
Okay.
I'd rather like actually go in depth and like talk about it later. But yeah, so I'm positive I can do more of a dent in that space early on in just terms of like income generation before I turn 25 like you are. Are you 25 or 24? I keep forgetting.
I'm 25.
Okay,
But I was going to say, I was emphasizing on that point because like right now you're still living, well, I mean you're at school too, but like living with your parents as well. Mm-hmm. But that gives you like a super big advantage, which I also have right now. But yeah, I feel like people need to make sure that they take advantage of that no matter how many people try to clown you or whatever. Like, stay at home with your parents for as long as you can so you can build up that bread.
I've literally heard people tell me, like, right outside of school, they're going to go move to, like, New York or Boston. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Why,
What do you mean you're going to go move to New York and Boston? You got New York, Boston money? You got New York, Boston living in the city money? Talk about $5,000 rent money? Like, no, you do not have that.
Facts.
But yeah, I agree with that completely. I can't even use, and if you weren't living at home, I would say that's an advantage for me too because I don't have to pay these expenses. I just have to pay my parents HBO Max, and they let me live for free. So I'm chilling with that agreement.
Yeah. Also, you're younger and you're getting into this stuff before I did, which is fine.
Yeah. I think that's also huge as well. But I don't really think I have like significant advantages right now. At least none that I can think of.
Bro, you're starting a business right now and you're 20.
Yeah,
right?
I guess potentially being
a couple businesses actually.
Nah, I'm just one because you
one
can't
main
do a couple.
Focus.
Yeah, I would say the photography business for me is like for the most part dying. Besides the fact that I have like these like private shoots, for the most part it's dying.
This is technically a business.
I didn't even think about that. And we've been operating it as a business too. It's really not like, behind the scenes is not like some like, let's go hop on this podcast. It really is very scheduled. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
It's only going to get like more business.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I guess, over time as well.
That's very true. But we're doing this together.
It'll probably
so
become income producing at some point.
Yeah, it probably will, especially all right. Yeah, that's true. I don't see that as an advantage though, because we're doing it together. So you could.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying specifically an advantage on
Oh,
me.
just like business in general.
Yeah, kind of just. Actually, let me ask you this then. So, how long do you think it's gonna take for you to touch your first 100,000?
Next 5 years, bro. Come on.
5 years? No, bro. You can't say that.
Why?
You can't say that because
yeah, I know.
That's way too long. But I understand why you feel that way because I thought it was gonna take me so much longer than it did too.
Yeah.
But the reason
go ahead. I know for a fact that in 5 years I will at least. But yeah, I know what you're saying. You're kind of limiting yourself when you say something like that. You're not really striving for like the. All right, then I'm gonna say the next 3 years then. about that. I'm okay with saying that because I'll be not only out of school, but that business will be in full swing. I don't want to say, I hate saying stuff without it happening, but I'm positive that business will be in full swing.
I was gonna say it has to be 3 years or less, especially if you want to be better than me, bro. Because it took me 3 years.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So,
all right.
You know what I mean?
Good then. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to put that out there though, for the sake of, like you said, like sometimes we can kind of limit ourselves and limit what we think that we're able to do. But I 100% think that you could do it, and I'm gonna be pushing you to make sure you do it.
Facts. I appreciate that support.
No problem.
That's the support I'd actually have. I actually like that support. Because some people, like my advisor was telling me, like, he's like, I'll support you 100%. Like, you're going to need to know this when you're working the corporate job. Like, when he said that, I was like, yeah, nah. Like, I already can't listen to you because I'm not working a corporate job, bro. I'm not doing that. But, yeah. Would you have one more question for me?
Well, I was going to say also that the reason that that I like that is because, essentially, that's just it's just pushing me to want to be greater and set an even higher bar and be like, all right, so how long is it going to take you to get to 1 million? Because it only took me this long. So, you know what I mean? And that's making me just want to be more on point. Like, the way I want to go about things now, I'm like, oh, nah, because I know Joel is coming up right after me. He's trying to knock my head off, and I'm not letting that happen. But at the same time, I'm really trying to make sure that you do. So that's the funny thing. Like, while I'm going about it, I'm like, nah, bro, no one can touch me. I'm the best. Yeah. But I need to make sure that the people coming up after me, that they actually are going to be better than me.
Yeah.
So definitely try to take advantage of any flaws that you see that I have and try to improve upon them. And because I'm going to be looking from that perspective too, like, all right, so what did I mess up on and how can I help my mans out? I'm going to be looking for those flaws in myself, which is just going to get both of us to become greater. So
that's why I want you to find a nice little property manager, so whenever I get my stuff, I don't have to worry about a single thing. And that's why I'm super that you brought Joey into the group, because I actually think he'd be a fantastic person to work with, and I would not know where to start without that.
Yeah, but that was basically all I had. Those questions were kind of tied together.
All right, word. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into the Wealth is Health podcast. If you did like this, leave a rating or review on any platform. If this is on YouTube, comment down below. You want to ask a question?
How long do you think it's going to take to get your first 100,000?
How long do you think it's going to take? Yeah, exactly. If you already have your 100,000, then a milli.
Then a milli.
And
let me know so I can beat you.
Exactly. Let us know. So again, if you want to join the discussion, join us on the Facebook, the Wealth is Health podcast. We'll see you on the next week's episode.
Yes, sir.